Hi YouTube, this is Evie. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today we are going to be talking about something that is a little bit more of a thought experiment, a little bit more of just me sharing my thoughts and opinions about something rather than something that is purely educational. So do keep that in mind while watching this video. This is not me saying this is how you should think about it, this is how to do it, nothing like that. This is literally just me sort of sharing what's been going on in my mind about this particular subject for the last couple of days, not so much me being like, this is how you need to think about it. So obviously, if you have different experiences, if I don't talk about something that you think is like an important point or whatever, it's not because I think that like my way is the right way and that your way of experiencing this is wrong or the way that you think about it is wrong. It's just, you know, we have different things going on and we have different experiences, and that's totally okay. But the thing that I've been thinking about is taking kink too seriously. And I have noticed that when people are coming into the kink scene and everybody kind of goes through certain like phases of going through kink, and at least in terms of if they're getting involved in like a local community and they're taking classes and going to dungeons regularly, if that's the path that you're on, there tends to be kind of almost stages that people go through when they are transitioning from being vanilla and maybe having fantasies to actually being able to live a lifestyle. And for the first, 6 months to a year, you're in this phase where like maybe you've been holding on to this like secret thing that you want to do like your whole life, right? And now you're finally able to do it, and suddenly you're in this crazy world where there's all these like things and terminology and activities you had never heard of before, and everything's just like so amazing, and you can't believe you found all these like-minded people and you're having all these new experiences and doing new things for the first time. And it's really just like you're wide-eyed, you're a kid in a candy store. And a lot of times people actually go through things like sub frenzy or dom frenzy, which is basically where you want to do everything so fast right now that you sometimes end up putting yourself in dangerous situations, which is not really what I want to get into in this video. I have talked about it before. Just go to my channel, search sub frenzy, you will find it. After that, there's more that ends up happening. Once you've been in the scene for maybe a year or two, or depending on how long your sort of newbie phase lasts, more or less, you'll have this phase where you're like, okay, I've been taking some classes, I've been learning some things, I know about consent, I know about safe words, I know about rack, I know how to do this right, I know how to do this the wrong way, I know what to avoid, blah, blah, blah. And you kind of end up in this mind frame where, because you don't necessarily have a ton of experience with other people's kinks and the way that other people do kink in a consensual manner, you end up in this sort of state where you're like, this is wrong, this is right, this is how you should do this is how not to do that. And you'll see people's scenes and you'll pass a lot of judgment, and you'll be like really concerned about people using terminology correctly, be really concerned about how people are using or doing certain things. And how long that phase lasts really depends for some people, because once you get more experience in the scene, you meet new people, talk with more people, see more things happening, go to more advanced classes, for the most part that kind of frame of mind should break down over time, hopefully. But for some people, it lasts for a really long time. And I will do a whole other video, I'm sure, talking about your kink is not my kink, because it's sort of connected to this thought that I'm having in this video, which is, taking kink too seriously, because I think they really do go hand in hand. And what happens is you're so like concerned with being part of this lifestyle and making sure that you're doing everything correctly, and that the people that you're interacting with like know what the right way is and are using all these things the exact same way that you would do them. You just end up being so focused around like all of these like different terms and making sure people are using the right titles for things, making sure people, oh, well, you should always capitalize the word dom, or you should, never flog somebody on their genitals, or you should never do this, or you should always do this, or whenever you go to a dungeon, you should do this. But the factor of the matter is that's not actually true for everybody, and that's something that I think is really important to learn as you're getting more experience in kink, is that there is no one way of doing this. There is no one methodology. And yes, there are things that are safer than others, things that are more dangerous than others, but everybody has different risk profiles. Everybody have different things that they want to experience in kink, and for some people that means going outside of the boundaries of what is considered normal for this community. Something as well that's really important, specifically when it comes to terminology, people get really, really upset. For example, when it's like, okay, this is age play, and this is CGL, which is caregiver and little, and this is, you know, ABDL, and this is this, and they're all different. And this is exactly what this means, and this is exactly what this means, and this is exactly what this means. And if you use those terms differently, or if you do this one kind of thing in your scenes, or not this kind of thing in your scenes, or this kind of dynamic, then you're not one of those things. Or maybe, for example, somebody is saying that they're in a CGL dynamic, but they're not doing things that you think should be in a CGL dynamic or whatever, or the way that they set up their relationship you think doesn't for some reason qualify as being that type of relationship. Or another great example for people who maybe aren't necessarily involved in that part of the lifestyle is submissive versus slave, right? And I have gone through and I've been very pedantic about the difference between submissive and slave, but that is my own personal definition. That is how I perceive it. And I think it can be helpful for people who don't know to be able to like explain what the differences are, just how I see them. But at the end of the day, people get to make their own decisions about what titles they use and what their relationship looks like. So if for some reason somebody is using the term slave to describe who they are, their relationship, and you're like, well, but you still have safe words though, and you still have limits and like boundaries and stuff, and you don't have a contract, and you're not in a 24/7 relationship, so you're not really a slave, like, stop doing that. Don't do that, because what you're doing is you're getting too focused on the meanings of words and how people are using words. And again, BDSM is what you make it. Kink is what you make it. You get to define what your relationship looks like. You get to define what terms you use. And if that means using slave and maybe the larger BDSM understandings that you're really closer to a submissive than a true slave, quote unquote, that is okay, because maybe the term slave is like really hot and really important to your kink, and even if you can't give up power to the level that most people would consider to be slavery, if that's really important to you and really hot, go for it. If you just like the term more, go for it. Like, just be less focused around the terminology, because what happens when you're so worried about what other people are doing, what other people are calling their dynamics, or how other people are doing this thing, like, oh my god, you're doing pet play, but you don't even play with toys, or you don't even drink from a bowl, or oh my god, like, you have 6,000 pieces of gear, how can you possibly be a real pet? Like, just stop doing that. Just stop, because it doesn't mean anything, and I've said this before in other videos. Take that energy that you use to judge other people, to comment on other people's relationships, to make your kink better. Because the more time that you take from those worries that don't matter to you and use them on your relationship, that is only going to be good for you. That is only going to help you further yourself and your goals in kink and make your relationship stronger or better, or find more time to do things that you want to do in BDSM, or take more classes or whatever. Take that energy and use it for actually doing kink, as opposed to like being super concerned about what all of these terms mean, or how people are doing their scenes, or what titles people are using. Like, just don't do that. That's all I'm gonna say. Because what you're getting stuck in this trap of, like, the part of kink that's important is not the terms and the titles and the things that we've invented, but the actual living of it, of actually doing scenes, of actually going out there and living the lifestyle. And everybody lives that lifestyle differently. So if you can let that go, your life will be so much better. I promise. You will be so much more happy. You will make more connections. It'll be easier for you to, like, just be in kink and be able to do all the things you want in this lifestyle. And I realize I'm being probably a little bit repetitive, but I think this is one of those topics that maybe benefits from just, like, hammering home the point over and over again. And on another side of not taking kink too seriously is your own relationship and your own scenes. Not every single scene has to be like this grand production where, like, you're completely in, you know, fancy lingerie and the most expensive bonnage that you have, and he's in a suit and you're both freshly shaved and showered, and just like all these candles everywhere. Like, it doesn't need to be a big production every time. BDSM can be as simplistic as you need it to be. You don't need to go all out in every single scene that you do. Even if the only thing you end up doing is, like, you are in a posture collar and a gag and you spend an evening playing video games together, awesome. I did that this weekend and it was great, and it wasn't this big huge thing, and it wasn't being overly serious. And you don't need to go into every scene with a really serious mindset, right? Not every scene needs to have that serious energy of like, this is a punishment and you're gonna like take this pain and like, oh, you're such a bad slut. Like, you don't need to take that energy into every single scene that you do, and you don't need to take it into every moment of your relationship. Be more flexible. Experiment with other thoughts and things during scenes. Enjoy being part of this lifestyle. Enjoy the things that you're doing with your partner or your partners. Just experience having fun. Like, remember why you got started in all of this. Go back to that time when everything was completely new, before you had all these preconceived notions about like how every single scene needed to go and how your dynamic needed to go 24/7. Like, just go back to that time where things were just fun and you can experiment and you can relax. Just do that. It doesn't need to be serious all the time, because BDSM is not about the titles. It's not about how serious and like how much pain you take all the time, and it's not a contest. It's not trying to live the lifestyle the most constantly. It's about what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, what makes you feel the most like who you are. And that's really what it is. So yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to share today. If you guys have any comments or questions, please do let me know down in the comment section below. Links to my social media, all of that good stuff will be in the description box. If you like videos like this one and you want to see more, please do consider going to my Patreon. It will be linked over there on the end screen, but also down here in the description box if you also want to link that way. I would really, really appreciate it, because it is what lets me do things like lighting and a microphone and all of this crazy stuff. So it would totally not be possible without Patreon. So thank you guys who have already started to support me. Thank you guys so much. But until I see you next time, hope you get rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye bye.